there's anything you need or that I can do, please tell me.
Well, you could let me make love to you.
But nobody's done that for centuries. I mean, nobody except the very poor who can't afford the pills and the psychocardiogram readings.
Why not?
Because it was proved to be distracting and a danger to maximum efficiency.
So, you won't do it?
Well, if you simply must insist, I guess so.
Without your garments, please.
Oh.
It's one of the most iconic opening scenes in sci-fi history. Jane Fonda floating weightlessly in her spaceship, performing a slow, hypnotic striptease as her spacesuit peels away. The moment is pure, psychedelic, 1960s sci-fi sex appeal. But what if we told you that Jane Fonda was completely drunk while filming it, and that she didn't even realize the entire crew could see through the glass floor beneath her? More on that in a bit, but first, let's dive into the strange, campy, and visually stunning world of Barbarella. Released in 1968, Barbarella was directed by French filmmaker Roger Vadim and based on the risque French comic series by Jean-Claude Forest. At a time when the counterculture was embracing free love and rejecting traditional norms, Barbarella fit right in with its cheeky, futuristic take on sexuality. The film follows Jane Fonda's character, a space traveler sent to retrieve a rogue scientist, Duran Duran. Yes, the inspiration for the band name Duran Duran, who has developed a deadly weapon. Along the way, Barbarella stumbles into one bizarre situation after another. Attacked by razor-toothed dolls, seduced by a blind angel, and nearly killed by a machine designed to pleasure its victims to death. The film was a visual spectacle with set pieces that looked like they were designed inside a lava lamp, costumes that ranged from space-age metal bikinis to shag-carpeted bodysuits, and a soundtrack that perfectly captured the film's groovy, acid trip aesthetic. But getting Barbarella to the big screen wasn't easy. Producer Dino De Laurentiis originally wanted Brigitte Bardot or Sophia Loren for the lead role, but Bardot had sworn off sexy roles, and Loren was pregnant. Vadim, who was married to Fonda at the time, eventually convinced her to take the part. But even she wasn't sure about it, especially after Vadim told her not to play the character as a parody, but as an innocent, wide-eyed explorer who doesn't realize how absurd her world is. That innocence became one of the film's greatest charms. Unlike many femme fatales of the era, Barbarella isn't a hardened warrior or a cunning seductress. She's curious, a little naive, and completely open to whatever the universe throws at her, whether it's taking a ride with an ice boat pilot or discovering the joys of old-fashioned physical intimacy for the first time. But back to that unforgettable opening scene. Jane Fonda later revealed that she was so nervous about stripping on camera, despite being no stranger to risque roles, that she drank vodka to calm her nerves. Unfortunately, she drank a little too much. By the time the cameras rolled, she was tipsy, making her already surreal zero-gravity striptease even more dreamlike. And to make matters worse, she didn't realize that the glass she was lying on was see-through, meaning the entire crew got a full view from below. When she found out later, she was mortified. Decades later, she admitted she barely even remembered filming the scene at all. And that wasn't the only chaotic moment on set. For the scene where Barbarella is nearly pecked to death by a swarm of hummingbirds, the crew used wrens and lovebirds instead, since actual hummingbirds couldn't be shipped to Italy. The problem? The birds weren't cooperating. Vadim, desperate to get the shot, resorted to using a massive fan to literally blow the birds at Fonda, who had birdseed hidden in her costume. Film critic Roger Ebert visited the set and later wrote about how the fan caused the birds to lose control over natural body functions. Let's just say it wasn't just feathers flying around that day. Then there was the infamous excessive pleasure machine scene where Barbarella is strapped into a piano-like device that is supposed to kill her through sheer pleasure. Actor Milo O'Shea, who played the villainous Duran Duran, wasn't told that the machine was rigged with actual smoke bombs and flares, So when the machine suddenly exploded, sparks flying, both he and Fonda genuinely thought something had gone horribly wrong. Fonda was terrified, and O'Shea was convinced he had just electrocuted his co-star. Turns out, Vadim had staged the whole thing just to get an authentic reaction. One of the lesser-known facts about Barbarella is that it was one of the first sci-fi films to embrace a distinctly European avant-garde aesthetic, rather than the sleek, polished look of Hollywood sci-fi. The film's production design, influenced by Jean-Claude Forest's original comic, was full of surreal landscapes, lava lamp-like textures, and psychedelic colors. Many of the sets were repurposed from Danger Diabolic, another Dino De Laurentiis production. Even Barbarella's costumes were revolutionary. French designer Jacques Fontaret collaborated with Paco Rabanne to create her metallic and futuristic outfits, some of which have influenced modern fashion designers. And despite its campy reputation, Barbarella had a lasting impact, inspiring everyone from Jean-Paul Gaultier to filmmakers like Edgar Wright, who is now attached to direct a remake. Despite, or perhaps because of its absurdity, Barbarella was a hit in Europe, especially in the UK, where it was the second highest grossing film of the year. In the US, however, it had a rockier reception, dismissed by some critics as a campy mess. But time has been kind to Barbarella. Today, it's a cult classic, influencing everything from The Fifth Element to music videos by Kylie Minogue and Ariana Grande. But what about Jane Fonda herself? At first, she distanced herself from the film. In the 1970s, as she became an outspoken activist and serious actress, she cringed at Barbarella's reputation. But over the years, she came to embrace it, admitting in her autobiography that she finally understood why people loved the film's unique charms. Even with all its flaws, Barbarella remains one of the most visually inventive and delightfully bizarre sci-fi films ever made. It may not have deep themes or tight plot, but it has something just as valuable: pure, uninhibited fun. Now it's time to hear from you. Have you seen Barbarella? What's your favorite moment from this psychedelic space adventure? And what do you think of Jane Fonda's performance? Let us know in the comments.